Good evening and welcome to tonight. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Verona Board of Education meeting. It is Tuesday, March 10th. It is 7:02 p.m. Please, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. The Republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The reading of meeting. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Verona Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the Star Ledger online and posted with the Township of Verona and the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting setting forth time, location, and agenda were posted at the Verona Board of Education office and on the Verona Public School District website. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public via the Board of Education website. Dr. Riley, could you please call attendance?
Mr. Waka? Mr. Perna?
Here.
Ms. Kanotic?
Here.
Mrs. Frisco? Mr. Boone?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education approves the minutes of the following meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Perna, and second
Second.
by Ms. Kanotic. Mr. Riley, please call vote.
Mr. Perna?
Yes.
Ms. Kanotic?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And now for the superintendent report, Mrs. DiGiuseppe.
Good evening. First, I want to say congratulations to the cast and crew of Mamma Mia. It was excellent, one of the best performances that I've seen in Verona during my time here. And that says a lot because they're all great. The music is always spectacular, but the student actors really hit the mark on the comedic acting as well. I laughed out loud several times. It was really fantastic. All around great show. A little bit in the news yesterday, and it would have been nice had the Department of Education gave us this information. But Cambrium, who is the new company overseeing the NJSLA Adaptive and the NJGPA Adaptive, will be using artificial intelligence to score the open-ended short constructed response essays. So what they reported to NJ.com is that the AI system to be used that will be used to score the essays and written questions, but there will be some human scorers. If a student's written response is identified as unusual or borderline, it will be flagged for human review. NJ.com was told by someone at the Department of Education that the system regularly conducts quality assurance checks to ensure that scores assigned by the automated scoring engine match human scores through strict quality controls. Cambium, the company overseeing the new test, does not use generative AI, the version of artificial intelligence used by engines like ChatGPT and Gemini. Instead, they use the automated scoring system that will have strict parameters with the proven consistency, and human scoring remains the foundations of the process. So we'll see. Cambrium has been using this type of scoring system in other states that it works with for several years. So see how that goes. Just would have been nice if the department told us that. So you can, if you could share the screen, thank you.
Before you do your presentation, can I ask a couple questions on
Sure.
the thing? Number one, is for people that do take this, is there an appeal process that they are able to go through if they have problems with the results?
You know, that's a good question. There was an appeal process when with NJSLA. We're new to Cambrium. I'm assuming that there will be. Remember, students don't get their, when it was paper pencil, we got their scores back. We got their actual essays back. The only time we see what a student writes now is if the testing company flags it for concern. So what would we appeal?
Yeah, that's, and the other question on this is, being a former ward of the state myself and working with some of their AI systems, they are extremely locked down in terms of sharing personal information and in terms of just being able to do your job with AI to the point of almost being detrimental. You want it to do more. And that's all in a good way. The question is does this vendor have the same state mandated restrictions as any other AI model that's within the state ecosystem?
I can ask that question, but again, because the department didn't share this with us, we didn't have the opportunity to ask questions like that. The article did not go into that, and I did ask Mrs. Ackerman, who is our district test coordinator, if during her training, if they mentioned anything like this or gave them a chance to ask questions, and she said not at all.
I have another question. How have they, what assurances has Cambrium given around the way in which that model was trained, specifically to kind of eliminate potential bias? I know there's human in the loop, which is good to know, but are they transparent with regard to the, I don't know, the standards, how that model was trained?
So in the RFP that the state of New Jersey put out to all of the test vendors out there, there's a 4 or 5 bullet point requirement of anyone who receives the award or the contract that they have to explicitly explain to the state how that model was trained if they were going to use AI. That was not shared with us, but apparently it was a requirement of the request for proposals for the state.
Just a little skeptical, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Well, we have a new commissioner, so maybe things will change. Okay, so going into our mid-year, fall into winter progress on our student achievement. Just going to advance my own slide. So we used NEWA map growth this year instead of the NJSLA scores because of, as New Jersey transitions from the NJSLA static to that was produced by Pearson to the Cambrium adaptive NJSLA, there's a strong possibility that spring 2025 and spring 2026 results will not be directly comparable. So to ensure a more stable and meaningful measure of student performance this year, we chose to use map growth data to monitor student achievement process. So in doing that, there are two different measures within NEWA map growth. So it's NEWA map growth achievement and NEWA map growth growth. So in terms of how students are performing, so map achievement measure tells us how our students are performing at a point in time. It reflects the student or group standing compared with national peers in the same grade and subject, and also that started the test within the same window, ensuring that kids out in California, Oregon, Vermont, wherever they're taking these tests, didn't have significantly more instruction before that benchmark was laid down. But for example, with achievement percentile, an achievement percentile of 70 means that a student or group scored as well as or better than 70% of comparable students nationally. And there are millions of students that take map growth every year. So it's a big sample size. With regard to map growth, the map growth measure, this tells us how much students improve between 2 testing windows. So in this case, what we're going to look at tonight is the growth percentile between that fall benchmark and the winter administration. A growth percentile compares the amount of growth to students with a similar starting point. For example, a growth percentile of 58 means that a student or group grew as much as or more than 58% of similar students nationally. So achievement tells us where students are, and growth is telling us how much they improved. So when we interpret these percentiles, looking at, for achievement, anything below the 40th percentile or low 40s is considered low achievement. Typical achievement is between the 40th percentile and the 60th percentile, and high achievement is above the 60th percentile. That's true to some extent with growth. Growth is a little bit more harder to predict what's going to happen with achievement when you look at growth. We know that growth above 60th percentile, you're not going to see backslide in achievement. Growth at anywhere within the 50s or lower, if that is under 60, under 55, you definitely will see either static achievement or a backslide. And I keep advancing my slides because I can't see that screen. So this is an example of our reading assessment growth and achievement from fall to winter. So that first column is our growth percentiles across district-wide, all grades in grades 1 through 8. It is, we had, excuse me, a 58th percentile growth, and that is consistent with the fact that our achievement went from 71 to 73, a slight increase. And I'm not going to read all of them, but you can go down. And I'll give you a summary in just a minute on kind of what we see in this data. I will post this to our district website so you can take a deeper dive into it. So overall, the district's reading growth was in, as I said, the 58th percentile, indicating that students on average demonstrated slightly above average growth from fall to winter. School-wide or district-wide achievement also improved, going from the 71st to the 73rd percentile, suggesting that reading performance remains a relative strength overall. At the individual grade levels, the strongest results were in the primary grades. Grade 1 posted the highest growth at in the 74th percentile, and that increased their achievement significantly from 71st to 81st. Grade 2 also showed strong growth, raising from 71st to the 78th percentile. Grade 3 demonstrated moderate positive growth at the 57th percentile, with achievement improving from 70 to 73rd percentile. These results suggest particularly strong momentum in the early elementary grades. In the intermediate grades, 4 through 8, we saw a little bit of a softening of that growth. You can see those yellow boxes indicate where growth was in the 41st to 60th percentile, and you can see that growth either lagged or stayed static. In grades 4, we dropped a SCAD. In grade 5, we were static. Grade 6, we were static. Grades 7 and 8, we dropped some percentage points. So that's the summary. Highlight is grades 1 and 2 demonstrate the strongest reading momentum with high growth and substantial achievement gains between fall and winter. And we need to monitor grade 4 and grade 7 and 8 with a little bit more focus to make sure that we don't continue to backslide into the spring. So there's some strong understandings there for grades 1 and 2. MAP is measuring foundational reading skills, primarily decoding, print concepts, phonics and word recognition, early comprehension of literary and informational text, and basic vocabulary development. When you get to grades 3, 4, and higher, that jumps from phonics and decoding to comprehension. Literary and informational comprehension, main ideas, details, text structure, points of view, purpose, and other text features, analysis of text, and evidence-based thinking, expanded academic vocabulary. So It's not unusual to see a strong grade 1-2, especially in Verona where we have a strong phonemic program in Hegarty and a phonics program in Foundations. And then when kids get into those upper grades and they're really reading for comprehension, you see a little bit of a backslide. But we are on it. And again, going into grade 5 to 8, what's assessed by MAPS reading is author's purpose and craft, point of view and text structures, figurative language and literary devices, advanced vocabulary strategies, and comparing and interpreting texts. So as the work gets more complex, we see more struggle among our students. With regard to math, we are a little weaker in the growth area. You can see all of the growth is in the 41st percent to 60th percentile, with the exceptions of grades 4 and 5 that are in the lower percentile. So we looked at grade 4 across the district in math, and my first focus is going to be, is there a curriculum problem? Is there a gap in our curriculum? Because all 4 schools are struggling in grades 4 with math. So we're going to take a look. We're going to map that curriculum and see if there's something that we're missing. Absolutely.
Is it possible that, like, when I look through curriculum and test scores, it seems like when a new subject or a new mathematical concept is being introduced, it's usually introduced year 1, and then the very next grade level, that's when it's kind of reinforced. And you see, like, the jump between grade 4 and grade 5. Do you think that might be a possibility?
You know what? It could be. So what we're doing is a root cause analysis right now. So we're going to be looking at all of the potential things that could have led to that, and then we're going to take a deep dive into each one and see which one of them is actually creating that concern. Because if we go with a gut feeling and we treat it and we're treating the wrong cause, then we're just wasting our time, our money, and our efforts. So we actually met today with our teacher instructional leaders in grades for grades K to 8. And had a phenomenal workshop, and they are getting to work with their grade levels in that root cause analysis as of the 3rd week in March.
To Mr. Walker's point too, and the grade 4 and 5, I think we're also on the weaker
Yes.
side in the reading. And I know you don't want to go with gut feelings ahead of your deep dive, but grades 4, 5 would have been just coming into school at COVID.
They absolutely were.
And so how
They
much
absolutely
top
were.
of mind is that?
Grade 6 actually was in kindergarten the year that schools closed, March to June. They were in the hybrid year in grade 1, which is the formative year for reading. And they were in with masks and they had full day school, but it was masks and it was uncomfortable for grade 2. Yeah, it is a good point. One that we did talk about today. Yeah, so just going in a big overview regarding math. Oops. So the overall performance, district-wide math growth was at the 49th percentile. Not terrible, but not one that's going to advance our achievement. It's a little bit of a backslide on achievement, 70th to 68th percentile. The strongest performances, grade 7, grade 2. Actually, grade 2 had some very, very strong results in terms of growth and performance. Steady performances, grade 1 posted above average growth, though achievement declined slightly. And algebra 1, and that's an interesting group because that's our strongest math performers in the district. Areas for attention, grades 4 and 5, we are going to be looking, and grades 6 and 8 as well, but we're going to be looking at what could potentially be causing those slower growth and softer achievement gains, and we will address as needed.
Quick question too around this, just kind of looking at these numbers, broader context of where we've been. Like, I was just asking a lot for you to try to remember this off the top of your head. But in terms of previous year's performance, is this like a trend? Or, you know, are we improving? Are we, you know?
That's a really good question, and what is really hard to tell with MAP, because MAP is measuring our kids from grade 1. So all of that data is, so when we look at, it's easier to tell from looking at NJSLA, because that's a 1-year snapshot, and there's not a so when we look at a sixth grader's MAP growth and achievement, it's along the continuum from grade 1, grade 2, 3 administrations in grade 3, 3 administrations in grade 4. So, and the other piece that we really have to dig into with MAP is there's a report that we run and look at that shows, you know, across a classroom of students or a group of kids that are maybe what we would think are underperforming, there is a flag that goes if they're doing random selection, like just click, 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 click. It tells us they're not reading the questions, or we have some students that will look at their timing. We give, you know, say we give 90 minutes for the test if they're done in 14. So there's those little tip-offs as well. So it is easier to see past performance through NJSLA versus math. Math, we are seeing a better outcome in math. Reading's pretty much similar to what it was last year and the year before.
Do we give accommodations in the MAP testing?
Yes.
Ms. DiGiuseppe, could you just remind us how new some of the curriculum programs are?
Yes. So Dimensions and Amplify, which are Singapore math, Dimensions is K5 and Amplify is grades 6 through 10, or 6 through 8, and then Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. We started with Amplify. We started with Dimensions during the pandemic in 2019. So they started, I think, with grade 3. I wasn't here then, but if I recall what Dr. Miller has explained to me, they started in grade 3 and then added grade 2, grade 1. I know in 2021, all of the grades were using Dimensions, and 6, 7, and 8 were using Amplify. The high school started with the Amplify program when my first year, so 2022. So relatively recently, and HMH, the literacy program, this year is our pilot year, our first, not pilot year, but our first implementation year. The other programs that we used, Hegarty and Foundations, have been around for quite a while. But in terms of training of teachers on how to use Foundations, 2 years ago. So this is just math skills by grade band, and it would be what you would expect. Grades 1, 2, counting, number, sense, computation, early patterns, and algebraic thinking, measurement and comparing quantities, shapes and spatial relationships, and early data and statistics. And as you can, I'm not going to read it to you, but as you go up grades 3 to 4 and then 5 to 8, you really see a jump in the complexity of numeracy and our understanding of math expressions, equations, functions, etc. I don't have any high school data. I'm not sure why. We were in math. I thought I saw high school data last week. It did not come up today. It's completely blank, so we're going to go with math tomorrow and say, high school took the test more recently. And sometimes if it's open, if they open that window to have a student do a makeup, I can't see the data until they close it again. So we'll have that for next meeting. And that is my fall into winter mid-year test analysis.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I know it's a little bit of a non sequitur. But I had a couple of reporters reach out to me about, and I forwarded you one of the emails from the reporter that I trusted more than most of them. But the question was essentially, how do we feel about the new state testing model going to be using AI as a judge? And I wasn't really sure how to answer it. So I said, listen, I know the superintendent of Verona who's on top of AI probably more than anybody. So I gave her your info. But I didn't know how to answer that question, 'cause I'm not sure if a machine is gonna be able to evaluate an essay based on a rubric as well as a human could, or better than a human could. But I am interested in hearing on the Verona superintendent's thoughts on that matter.
We actually talked about this a little bit before you came in. It really depends on how the model is trained, how the humans train the AI model to be able to assess those scores. We are using AI teachers. I mean, I don't know specific teachers, but across the board, there are programs that are developed for schools. School AI is one of them, where teachers are uploading student work into it and having it assess it for them. So it's already being done on the individual classroom level. I can't answer because I don't know how accurate they are.
On a service level, like, we were both teachers when you'd get the Scantrons, and you'd put them through the Scantron machine, and the machine would tell you if the answer was right or not, right? So, like, it's not like it's like a foreign concept, but like the artistry of an essay, right? That's where I'm interested most in how they would score that. But I appreciate that you took it upon yourself to make Verona one of the marquee AI initiatives, right? Like, no one else is doing this before you did, right? But it's also a risk. So I was interested to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, and this slide is an example of my putting the information in to chat and saying, make me a decorative slide. Gemini actually has one that says beautify this slide, and it does. Sometimes you have to really check it that it's not correct, which is always the concern with AI. What I said before you got here is I wish that the State Department of Education had allowed us to ask those questions about the AI grading, but they didn't tell us, so we didn't have those opportunities. I found out because you sent me that article.
Yeah, I didn't know either, and I will say I'm still happy that former board president Barzella and Mr. Knodig is here. It's amazing for such a great discussion. But yeah, I agree in that, like, I think it was bound to happen anyway. It would have been nice to get a little heads up, and I think that there's going to be a lot of headaches for people like you and me and school administrators and parents and students if this program is somewhat defective. And if it does a great job, then there's not going to be headaches. It just feels like we're going to find out, but like it's a leap we're taking fairly blindly on a machine that we have no idea how it's.
And I have to agree with you, but I also don't know, because I never thought to ask, whether or not the SATs and PSATs are graded with AI. I have no idea. I know the APs are not. The APs, because we have teachers that go down and they're AP readers. They go down, they go out to Arizona, they go to Florida, they go to wherever and they sit for a week in a room with other readers, and they grade collectively, and they pass those papers around for quality issues.
Yeah, so I guess like the stamina of the machine shouldn't be an issue, whereas the stamina of the human should be or would be. But yeah, but I agree to that point too. I was thinking as well, in that, like, we send these tests, the kids take the tests back in the day. They fill in bubbles on Scantrons, and they send them out to some place and wherever. And then we just trust the judgment of what comes back. And I guess it's kind of the same thing, right?
I think it's a little more high stakes than that, but yes.
Yeah, no, it is something that when you mentioned it, it triggered a concern in my mind too, because the output is only going to be as good as the input, and having visibility into what that input was, how broad reaching they went in terms of training that algorithm to provide that output, it kind of matters, right? Because it's more art than it is science, often grading these things, and so it is it's interesting. And the problem is you're only going to know that it's a problem after it's been done.
Right, and only if it comes to us as a problem.
Exactly, because you have to be able to find like the signal from the noise, like, to identify that it even was a problem, and that's the issue.
Well, the reality of trust in our world of education is that maybe I'm cynical, but I don't have a lot of trust in the Department of Education. They have not earned my trust. We did not know that they were changing vendors. We did not know that they were going to an adaptive test. We found out in August. they still have not answered my 3 emails about our school goals and whether or not because they went from NJ Ask, and GEPA and HESPA to Park and managed to somehow connect those scores. They shouldn't have, but they did. So my question was, are you going to use spring 25 to spring 26 scores to generate student median SGPs? Radio silence. I emailed again. Radio silence. I emailed again and said, please respond.
Because I wouldn't even know who to email that question to. So you're even more advanced than I am. Who did you email to?
I went to the department's website and found the person in charge of assessment. And they did ultimately respond to me and said the commissioner is going to speak on that. And then the commissioner never did. So that's why we used MAP. Finally, I said we have to have goals for the year. So it's interesting.
And Mr. Walker, before you arrived, my point, or my question was along those lines in terms of parents being able to appeal, but also how is this being audited, right? And, at some point they need an audit, and what are those standards for that?
So the way I know the way a parent would appeal an older test is if they got a score that they did not think that their child, they can reach out to the state testing number that's on that score report, and they can have a conversation with Orlando probably.
Give someone a picture of the phone.
For years it was Orlando. He was the only guy. He was 6'8". Yeah.
By the way, per Gemini, SATs they're not using generative AI to score the essays because they do not want to lose the nuance. They reference kind of the importance of preserving the nuance in terms of how you interpret and grade the essay.
I want you to think.
Well, no, it's against itself here. Otherwise, it would be telling me, no, it's perfectly fine.
They do. They have actually they don't. That's right. That's right. ACT.
ACT.
Yeah. That's right. They did away with it several years ago. I'm old. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are going to not have a student report as Mr. Goat is not available tonight. And we will go right to committee reports. I believe facilities was on the docket. Mr. Perna?
Yep. I can interrupt real quick before that. I'm going to miss it, but James, do we know when we're getting the exact state aid totals?
We should have them, statutorily, they're required to release them within 48 hours. So as of the end of the address today, around a little after 3 o'clock, we should have them. Best case scenario will be tomorrow, more likely will be Thursday.
Okay, very good. Thank you, James. Now, where's the best way for us to find out? Are you going to email us, or should we look on nj.com? What's the best way for us to find out if Verona went up 6%, down 6%, or somewhere in between?
I will apprise the board.
Very good. Thank you, James.
Go ahead, Mr. Perna.
Facilities, we met last week. We have a few new business items and a few old business items to update everyone on. One of the new items was working with Verona Baseball Softball League, coming up with a flat rate cost for them to use the fields this spring. Given the situation at Everett Field, there is going to be a higher usage of some of the school fields, so we're working with them on that as we speak.
Matt, can I interrupt you real quick? What's the situation with Everett Field? So I've driven by it and I see there's a bunch of stuff going on, but I don't know what it is.
The sod was supposed to get put down March 1st. Obviously, that didn't happen. April 1st feels aggressive, and it's at least 6 to 8 weeks. It's because they're doing grass.
So the field will be unplayable for the next
For a long
foreseeable future.
For a long time, yeah. Yeah, given the delays from the snow and then the sod having to sit and attach. So that's too bad. But fortunately, we have so many school fields that we're able to sort of accommodate them. So hopefully we come to a good agreement there. There was an environmental study done on the Forest Avenue School hallway floor. There's no environmental issue, there's no mold or anything, and so we're going to be working with the install vendor to try and come up with a new solution to fix the floor. And then we only very initially just started talking about fiscal year 2027 budget items for, big capital projects, things like the press box, the middle school gym floor, Forest Avenue floor, and HVAC. We'll be getting quotes on the press box, so we can report back to you all once we start getting that information in. Old business items, we're still, we filed for arbitration for the playground surface suit. And then I know the facilities guys are working with third-party vendors to take a look at some of the HVAC issues in the school by going third-party and not using Train, the manufacturer of some of the systems. There's a significant cost saving, so it should be good, even though there is work that needs to be done.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from anybody? Okay, next up, public comments on agenda action items. Please note that the public participation portion of the meeting affords an opportunity for the public to share thoughts and comments about school-related topics. By law, administrators and Board of Education members are not permitted to publicly discuss personnel matters, student discipline, or other issues requiring confidentiality. While we may not respond to comments during the meeting, all input that is shared with the Board of Education is taken very seriously, and it helps inform future deliberations and work by the board and its committees. Answers appear in many forms, including but not limited to email, superintendent committee reports, board statements, FAQs on the website, or after the public comment is closed. We appreciate and thank all members of the public for their input. Seeing as nobody is at the podium, we will not have any comments. So next up, discussion items, new business, old business from anybody? I just wanted to take a moment, a couple points. I did want to echo our superintendent's comments on the wonderful play of Mamma Mia. I have nothing better to add other than what I particularly liked about this play is it really afforded an opportunity for several students to really to shine, and it was just a great platform for our incredible theater program, and again, it just blew me away about how fun that was. Also, on another positive note, thoroughly enjoyed last week's Lunar New Year celebration up at the community center. I particularly love just the way that the school district and the town came together for an awesome celebration. That was, again, one of my favorite events of the entire year. And then also, I would like to thank Mrs. Studo over at Brookdale for the invite to participate in the reading to the class. It again is just an incredible experience, and if I just wanted to just underscore how important reading is, particularly at this age. I was reading to the second graders, and it was a book about trains, and it was set in the mid 1950s, and it could have been a town anywhere, and it was just kind of a sing-song poem type book about the trains going through this community, and it named all the different lines and stuff, and there was a mention of the Lackawanna line, which for those North Jersey are very familiar with it, and my goal was to pause and talk about the importance of Lackawanna to this area. Before I could even say anything, a little second grader, she raised her hand and just went on about everything she knew about Lackawanna and how important it is to New Jersey. And it was like I paid her to interrupt me, but it was just a fascinating experience. And again, I just want to thank everybody for putting us through on that. So thank you.
Got to read to the kindergarten, and note to self, high school biology teachers should never pick the book.
I'm gonna
I
jump
lost
in.
Why?
I lost them. They were complete. I lost them.
What was the book?
Stella Luna.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a nice
I know, they
book.
were not interested in
They
it.
didn't. They
No.
didn't.
So you guys are gonna thank me later, but I've been doing Read Across America for decades, right? And I finally had the contrition to ask the librarian of our school, can you recommend a book? She goes, Chris, you gotta do this book. There's a series of books, and they're interactive books. So if like there's a character that needs a banana from the top of a tree, you have a kid come up and shake the book. or if there's something, a character needs to dry out, you have the kid comes up and he shakes the book to dry him out. And I've been reading the kids for a long time. It was the most fun ever. So please, if you're ever in the market for a book to read toward kids, find interactive books because the kids absolutely adore them. And then the only other open public that I was thinking is that, like, you know, Denise will agree with me, and I know Pam would if she were here, but, you know, when we first got on this board, when we first hired a superintendent, board meetings were a little bit more charged, and there was a little more distrust from the community. We hired a superintendent, and we used to get an email every day about something that people were upset about or questioning, and that's fine too. Like it's not a bad thing that people will reach out to you like that, but it was on the regular, and you know, now I can go a week without checking my Verona email and things still being all right because of your leadership. So I really appreciate that you've made this a little more accommodating to be a board member through your strong decision making and your relationship with the VEA, and a lot of community groups. So I'm appreciative.
And one other thing that I wanted to mention, speaking of Mr. Waka, congratulations on your new appointment to Lincoln Park. And again, to echo your point about being on the board, the fact that we have a superintendent for his day job, I think really helps keep this board centered on our opportunities. And you know, it puts everybody in a better position to succeed. So thank you for that as well. And congratulations. All right, do we have any correspondence?
I don't know.
All right, moving on to action items. Can I get a resolution to move forward with resolution items A1 through A6?
So moved, Mike.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kenotic. Any discussions? Seeing as there is none, Dr. Riley, can you please call roll?
Mr. Waka.
Yes.
Mr. Perna.
Yes.
Ms. Kenotic.
Yes.
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And now for action items B1 through B, let's count here, B8. May I have a resolution to move forward on that? These are education items.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kenotic. Any discussion? Seeing as there is none, Dr. Riley, please call roll.
Mr. Waka.
Yes.
Mr. Perna.
Yes.
Ms. Kenotic.
Yes.
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Action items for athletics, items C1 through C4. May I have a motion to move forward?
So moved.
First by Mrs. Kenotic. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Perna.
Comment I want to make on this is that I know that the lacrosse parents and the football parents are very excited about the decision this board made last meeting to hire the 2 new varsity coaches, and so far they're very well received by the parent community.
It's excellent. And also, I'm happy to see on C3, David Mastis is coming back to help with the girls JV coach. Having worked with Mr. Mastis a long time back, I'm excited to see him coming back. This is an example of a longtime Verona resident wanting to work with our program. And again, I think this is another sign that speaks a lot to what you were saying, Mr. Waka. Any other comments? All right, Dr. Riley, please call roll.
Mr. Waka.
Yes.
Mr. Perna.
Yes.
Ms. Kenotic.
Yes.
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion passes.
For facilities, we have just one item, D1. May I have a motion to move forward? First by Mr. Waka, may I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Perna. Any discussion? Seeing as none, Dr. Riley, please call roll.
Mr. Waka.
Yes.
Mr. Perna.
Yes.
Ms. Kenotic.
Yes.
Mr. Boone.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Section E for finance, we have E1 through E4. May I have a motion to proceed?
So moved.
First by Mr. Perna. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kenodig. Any discussion?
Just, Mrs. DiGiuseppe, if you could give us some background on E4 and how we choose who travels for a professional development conference, and then like what's the plan of action? If it's a select group, do they come back and they do like a working session for some of the other teachers to share what they learned?
Yes, so this particular group is made up of Dr. Miller, Mrs. Peter, Mrs. Kohler, Dr. Lanzo, Mr. Galbercheck, Mr. Lancaster, and then 4 teachers that are in the process of volunteering to go, and everybody has a turnkey role. So that, when that went out to the teachers, for them to, Dr. Miller decided not to travel to the site. He's going to do it virtually, which gives us an opportunity to add two more teachers. And so that went out to them today with that offer to have 4 teachers attend the program. It's actually a really unique opportunity to have a national conference go virtual. And they haven't done that since the pandemic. This is a really great conference, and it's what's nice about the virtual option is that it's all the same sessions that when you go in person, they're just streaming them.
But isn't it more likely they went virtual because they couldn't afford or didn't get enough enrollment in person?
Say it again?
Is it more likely that the reason they went virtual is because they couldn't get enough enrollment to
No,
do in
there's like
person? I don't know, maybe it is.
4,000 people go to this conference.
So why would they want to go in virtual?
Money, because it's $650 a person to go virtual. They know how to make money.
Okay,
Yeah, that's my guess, that they can increase the amount of people that actually attend. And maybe I'm being cynical again, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're cynical. I just know if the reason is whether it's more profitable or less profitable. But it just seems to me that like there's probably a higher profit margin going in person. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, when you go in person, they feed you. It's definitely a better experience to go in person, no doubt. But the nice thing about this particular opportunity is that if you are a virtual participant, you get to see the same keynotes and interact. And it is interaction. You can interact with the participants in the room, but you can also, you get the downloads. So you can keep them, the videos, for, I think you have access to them for 6 or 8 months. Yeah, I mean, for us, we would never be able to send teachers and administrators in a group to Florida with airfare and hotel. And I mean, not all of your breakfast and lunch is paid for with the conference, but dinners are not. And incidentals to and from the airport, it would be really cost prohibitive. So this is a way that our administrators and teachers can attend a really fantastic conference, albeit not in the best way, but still get the learning from that.
What you're saying, I think your explanation is really insightful, and I think this could become the new normal for professional development. So I like this, that we're doing this.
And when I realized that we had that shortfall with extraordinary aid, I went to VP and said, yeah, well, and
That's fair too.
yeah, to your, you abstained from that vote.
Yes, I
so,
did. I
of
did
course,
abstain from
yes.
the vote, but yeah, but it was very nice to have you come speak to the group about this.
we doing another
this
They really
event.
grilled me too. I mean, they
There's
really
another
grilled me.
VP party, by the way.
Not yet comes, great.
VP is having its annual event, or Inspiring Excellence Awards, and yeah, we would love to have the
Of course,
community attend.
yes, that's great.
Anybody else? Dr. Riley, please call roll.
Mr. Waka? Yes. Mr. Perna?
Yes.
Ms. Kenodig?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes. For governance and policy, may I have a motion? Mr. Waka, and a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kenodig. Any questions, comments? Seeing as there is none, Dr. Riley, please call roll.
Mr. Waka? Mr. Perna?
Yes.
Ms. Canoia?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes. And now for our public comment section. The public has the opportunity to comment on any issues about school-related topics. Again, the board is not able to comment or speak directly back, but anybody that has any comments? And yes,
I think I could do it in three. Okay. Hi, it's so weird to be on this side. Just a couple things. One, I am so happy that Unsung Heroes is here this year. I remember when I went with Miss Di Giuseppe and Miss Crisco, I think also last year to East Orange, and we said that we would love to have it in Verona, and it would be a great location for it. And you made that happen, so I'm so happy to hear that.
Kudos to Mr. Cogdell. He's really he's really doing most of the planning.
So that's a great event. If anyone has the opportunity to attend, I would definitely recommend it. It's very heartfelt with what some students have overcome. And when we talk about AI grading, I did remember that the California bar exam used AI, and it was an utter disaster. It was an utter disaster. So I think everyone's right to be a little skeptical about how things are progressing in that front. And then finally, it's probably like a month ago now, I did, at one of the town council meetings, I did again, do public comment and raise the issue of pilot funding for the new development that is coming that is using pilot funds, which is like 880 or 885 Bloomfield across from the community center. Advocating for the town to share the wealth with the school board, as they are not used to doing in these funds. They have never done, yes. If anyone's interested, the town last year got about $1.5 million in pilot funds. That did not come, any of it, to the school. And yes, that was just last year's contribution, and every year it goes up because of the way the funding model is worked out. I was told, as part of public comment, that they've already reached out to people on the board and in the school board and the school administration to start working on a sharing formula. So I'm not sure if that's how far along that has progressed, but I do hope that it still becomes a upfront issue with the town council. And I think that is it. Okay, bye.
I'd like to comment on that, and it's, Ms. Frizzell was very kind to help me when I was applying for my most recent job that I got. And one of the topics was pilot funds, and when you look it up, for the next 25 years, the Cedar Grove municipality gives the Board of Education a $1.2 million check. And not only do they give them that check for the Hilltop development, but like the council people and the Board of Ed take a picture together and they get one of those giant checks and they take a nice thick photo op, and I'm like, wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be lovely? So, Mr. Temporo, I think you're a lovely mayor, and Jack McAvoy, I think you're lovely, and I think all the other councilmen are lovely. But we want, it doesn't even have to be a big check. You can make it smaller. But, we've had about 150 or so kids come from the most recent pilot development, and the district has taken on that burden without any tax benefit. And of course, we expect Diane and James to figure out a way to do it. There's no doubt about that. But this is a town that prioritizes its children, and we need the town to step up. So Denise, I really appreciate you staying on top of this.
Dr. Raleigh and I are meeting with the township manager and the assistant manager on Friday, right? Friday. About housing.
Go in like Mr. Krabs. Just demand money.
so to that point, and I know you can't speak on specifics about any kind of formula. Was it related to the new property or all?
All of the upcoming properties.
Okay, and the new one across the street from the community center, that can't be all that many units, correct?
I think 95 is sticking in my head, and I'm not sure why.
95, that's much more than I don't see where 95 is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Seeing as there are no further comments, I would like a motion for a resolution to adjourn. Forwarded by Mr. Waka,
Second?
seconded by Mr. Perna. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What time?
It is
7:57.
7:57. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. here in the Verona High School